Hello and welcome back in my reading corner. Thank you so much for joining me again. If this is your first time on my channel, hi, my name is Cece and I do mostly bookish subscription box unboxings. If you're ever looking for a new subscription box that you want to consider and you're not so sure which is the best one, or you just want to get inspired, this is the right channel for you, because I not only look at what's inside, I really look into if the value is actually adding up. Is the box actually worth it? So go check out a few of my unboxings. But today we're here to look at my May TBR, and I am attempting once again an unedited video. Alright, so my backlog is so huge that I cannot get these videos like the wrap-ups and the TBRs out in time if I don't attempt an unedited one. So let's try this. So I usually am easily able to read around 2,500 pages a month. So anything above that is really ambitious for myself. And as always, I am way too ambitious. But I need that. I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't like TBRs because it kind of limits them. Like they don't feel like they can pick and choose whatever they're in the mood for, especially for like mood readers. But myself, I feel challenged. I want to win. I want to win against myself. I want to beat the high score, if you say so. And even if I don't get to read all the books on my TBR, if I end up with a higher page count than last month, I won. And so I celebrate all these little victories. And if I don't have an ambitious TBR, I don't read as much, and I want to push myself to read as much as possible. I lost years and years of not reading because it just wasn't a priority to me. I bought all the books because I wanted to read them, but I never got to them. And now I have to catch up. Enough said, let's look at my May TBR. I always have that in this little notebook, and I sort it by the books that I want to read for read-alongs, for book clubs, for anything that's like going to be a discussion that I want to follow, and then a NetGalley, and then like a few others. Sometimes I pick the others for readathons or for like various reasons. So, the first book on my TBR is the Booksplosion book of the month, and that is The Earth, My Butt, and Other Big Round Things. So this is the perfect book for me because I do have a big round butt. And I live on Earth. And I bet I can find other big round things as well in here. So yeah. This is totally for me. So this is fairly short. Whenever we have this little guy on here, I'm intrigued because that means it is a prize-winning book, and that always intrigues me. All I know right now is that it is about a young woman, 15 years. She feels like a plus-size black sheep. She is it's not really a first relationship, but she's getting like touchy-feely for the first time with a guy, and she feels like this could be like he could start feeling differently if he could see her naked and that kind of stuff. And she has like a brother who's like the star athlete that she feels big like next to. I usually don't know much about books, so this is already a really good synopsis that I can give you for a book that I haven't read. Might be completely off, but this is what I've been told. Heard good things about it. What I know is that this is a fairly old book. I think it's 2003 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it just came out with a sequel, I think this May. So like there's 15 years in between and they now bring a sequel. Sequels are rare enough in YA, so not in YA, in like contemporaries. And yeah, 15 years between a sequel, it sounds compelling, and I'm really excited to read the sequel too. Excited to get to this one. The next book club I am a part of is from some people that I got to know in the Hogwarts running club, and there's like some Ravenclaws and some Slytherins that came together and formed a book club. And for this book club we're reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I am not gonna read it because I already read it and I don't have the time to reread it, but I'm looking forward to this discussion. The next book club read along type of thing I'm doing is A Book in a Jar by Book Roast. I am gonna link the Goodreads group for the Book Roast Book in a Jar down below. And basically what I like about this read along is, first off, I always like the book picks, but also there's like discussion topics on Goodreads after bits, like so it's chapters or whatever, and you can like discuss what you read in the chapter on Goodreads. And when Jay from Book Roast reads the book herself, she then, after each installment, she goes onto Goodreads and she vlogs and she talks about what she's reading, and it's a different kind of interactive, and I totally enjoyed the videos and I totally want to be a part of that too. So for this we're reading Scythe, and I don't have a physical copy of that because I'm gonna listen to that on audiobook. I always need to throw in like 2 to 3 audiobooks for like my walks and my drives, for like pretty much whenever I can't put my face in a book I still want to read, and that's what I need audiobooks for. So I always have to build my TBR around having 2 to 3 audiobooks, and Scythe is gonna be one of them. This is, as far as I know, about like it plays in the future, and we don't, people don't die anymore of natural causes. You can like reset your body, and to kind of have the population not outgrow, there is an unnatural cause of death, and that is enforced by the Scythe. So they go out to, I don't know what the word is, like they're gonna read them for them, and like it pretty much means they kill them. So I don't know how it's selected. I just know that we're gonna follow these Scythe that are pretty much bringing death to this world where death is not a natural issue anymore. That's all I know. I am pumped, heard so many good things, and it sounds so much fun, and this is the book I'm gonna start on audiobook. The next read along I do is the Shadowhunters read along that is hosted by Emma Books. She's doing live shows regularly on the books, and we are reading like all the books leading up to the release of the new book in December. Seeing as I have not read any of the books before, and I really need to catch up on it, because I want to catch up on everything, and I want to know what you guys are talking about when you're talking about the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So I gave the first couple a try, fell in love with it around the 3rd or 4th book, and now I'm pumped. And this month we are going to be reading 2 books. We're going to be reading City of Fallen Angels, and we're going to be reading Clockwork Prince. It just so happens that it kind of overlaps. It's not like a book a month kind of thing, and I think Emma Books posted a schedule. I want to stick to the schedule as much as possible, but I think this one is fairly early in the month, so I have to read this one really quickly, and this one is then like towards the end of the month. I can't tell you which one I'm looking forward to more. After City of was it Glass or Ashes? I can never tell. I think it was City of Ashes? Glass? I don't know which is the second and the third one. How do I remember which is which? The third one, after the 3rd book, I totally fell in love with the Mortal Instruments, and I do want to know like how that turns out, and I have heard like 2 or 3 spoilers that I'm eager to get to, and this I I got fixed on this story. I enjoyed this the Clockwork Angel so much, and I just want to know where the story leads, because it feels like we haven't even heard like the tiniest bit. Like, it's like, come on, start telling me shit. I want to know what's going on, and I'm looking forward to reading both of these this month. I'm definitely gonna get to those. The next read-along I'm doing is a Throne of Glass read-along that is hosted by the awesome Becca, and I'm gonna link her. Let's see if I can find her announcement video of that down below. We have a group on Facebook where we discuss our progress. It's an awesome group. I love these guys, and it's so much fun talking to them, and we do like video chats where we then discuss the book, and we read a book a month leading up to, once again, the new release in, I think it's September. I fell in love with this story right away. I am a fantasy girl, so more than urban fantasy, so this is right up my alley. I love the characters. I love it, love it, love it. And this month I'm going to be reading Air of Fire, and once again this is going to be an audiobook one. Then I have another format I'm doing. At the beginning of the year I have let some booktubers pick my TBR, in a sense that I asked them to recommend me a book, and I am reading one of their recommendations a month, and this month it is The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom. And this has been, oh no, it's a good thing that I opened it up and was ready to read, and then I just close it. Okay, so this one was recommended to me by Julia over from That Bookie, and she told me one book that I would recommend to everyone is Timekeeper. I read it a few years ago, and it was such a mesmerizing read. It hits you in all the fields and really makes you think about the things we take for granted, which is why I think everyone should read it. It makes you appreciate the little things, such as time. Thank you so much to That Bookie for recommending this. I am intrigued, and I can't wait to feel all the feels. We have one more read-along or book club that I'm doing, and that is the Books and Jams, and this is on Goodreads as well, and that is hosted by Krista. And for this we are going to read Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine. This won the Costa Book Awards in 2017. So she says, I cannot wait to dive into this book and meet Eleanor myself. So many friends on BookTube have fallen in love with this book and Eleanor's story. I hope we do the same. Here's a brief description. Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine is the smart, warm, and uplifting story of an out of the ordinary heroine whose deadpan weirdness and unconscious wit makes for an irresistible journey as she realizes the only way to survive is to open your heart. And the rights have been picked up by Reese Witherspoon to make into a movie, so get to it before it's a movie. Yeah, so I am looking forward to reading this. I think this is a good mix in between like all the fantasy that I'm reading, even if it's like urban fantasy or fantasy. I need like a palate cleanser every now and then. Speaking about palate cleansers, I adore my occasional funny kind of chick lit, and I really do use these type of books to read between heavy topics or between like fantasy worlds, because I tend to mix up the worlds if I don't reset my mind somehow, and funny light-hearted, easy chick lits tend to do that for me. I also tend to get them on NetGalley, and I have 3 from NetGalley that I want to finish in May, and that is How Hard Can It Be, Hot Mess, and Smothered. can't tell you a lot about them. I can tell you a little bit about Smothered. Smothered, it is about a young woman fresh out of college, graduated summa cum laude, and now is trying to find her place, moving back in with her mom and wanting to move out as quickly as possible, and trying to find her placing in the world, trying to find a job. And like reality hits, and all the while she also needs to tell her mom that she has a boyfriend, but the boyfriend might not be up to her crazy, like, shallow mom's standards. So she's kind of on the fence of, how do I tell her? Can I tell her? She wants to tell her, but she's scared. So all these like relationships between mother and daughter, she sounds like a totally relatable young woman, and looking forward to that one. All right, there's a couple more on my TBR. The next one that I want to read is I Darken by Kirsten White, and the reason I want to read this is because the sequel is going to be the Booksplosion book of the month next month. I don't know much about this. So I was very intrigued after reading the back. It's just like in like in an interesting format, like cursive writing over here and then some bits and pieces over there. And it says, Elena had a sense for power, a princess, unlike any you've known before. Ruthless is the key to her survival. The fine threads that connected everyone around here. Her brother, Radu, is everything she is and not. Beautiful, introspective, and delicate. The way those threads could be pulled, tightened. At first, Lara takes Mehmet for an enemy. He is, after all, son of the Sultan holding her captive. Wrapped around someone until they cut off the blood supply. Their 3 lives balance on a knife edge, and the ties that bind them together will be stretched to breaking point. Or snapped entirely. Come on! If that doesn't intrigue you, what does? Looking forward to reading this, and looking forward to reading the sequel next month. The next book that I want to read is Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard, because it is coming out this month and I can't wait to read it. I loved The Red Queen. I found The Glass Sword. I liked it, it was okay, but I loved King's Cage. It had all the politics, it had all the intrigue, it had everything that I wished for. It was just right up my alley, and the world just got so completed with so many things, and the way it ended, I just want to start reading what's gonna happen now, right now, because yes, we're ready for like mayhem. Yes, I want to know what's going on. So looking forward to that release. The next 2 books that I want to read is Because You Love to Hate Me and The Most Dangerous Place on Earth. These are 2 books that I have started, I think, 4 to 5 months ago, and for different reasons I've just put them to the side. Not really because I didn't like them, but as I said, for very different reasons. This is just perfect for me. I love villains. I love the anti-heroine. I want to know more about the villain side of the story. I'm still waiting. Please give me Harry Potter from Slytherin Student's View. Like every year, pick like different students to tell the story from or whatever. Not Draco, or like just normal standard Slytherin students. Tell me how they thought this was like how did they live through what was happening. I think this has so much potential for an amazing story. It's like it could be, on one side it could be like very dark, on the other it could be very like Mean Girls being like bitchin', about like how those stupid Gryffindors are breaking all the rules and getting rewarded for it or not getting into trouble, how they've been working their ass off for a year to gather like house points and then getting the win taken away by like for stupid reasons. And I just think this could be amazing, and this is kind of what I was hoping for from this book, because this tells tales from the villain's perspective. And the first short story just fell a little short for me. It just didn't deliver everything that I wanted emotionally, so I put it to the side because there was like other reads that I needed to get to desperately, and I didn't pick it up since because, well, there's so many more books to read and I need to finish it because I'm very sure that other stories I'm gonna fall in love with. The Most Dangerous Place on Earth is a book from a subscription box that I picked up that I had a little trouble getting into, but it wasn't bad, but I had trouble getting into it because it plays in a high school, and the chapters are like the separate years you go through up until graduation, and it feels like every story revolves around like one person or one character, and at the point where you actually got to know them and are starting to understand what people are actually talking about, you move on to the next one that has nothing to do with the first one, and I get like utterly confused, and I had like the hardest time getting into it. And when I finally started getting into it, I forgot the freaking book in my hotel room on my business trip. Yeah, so when it came up like a couple of weeks later on my Kindle for like 99 cents, I picked it up again, and I haven't finished it since, but I desperately want to finish them because I don't like unfinished business. Just who I am. One more book and we're through. The last book that I desperately need to get into is inside this box, and I have had this box since January? I think it's January. And the reason why it's still in the box is because the box comes with like little wrapped packages, and inside the book there's like little bookmarks that tell you when you can open the packages, and the item in here is like somehow something that came alive from the book, and the book is truly devious. I fell in love with the synopsis. I think this is going to be an awesome read. I'm going to be vlogging my read and opening up the items, and this will create another unboxing, and I am looking forward to it. I have no excuse why I haven't gotten to it, aside from all the amazing books that came up, and I just want to get to it. In YA, we just don't have enough murder, mystery, thriller kind of books, and this sounds like the perfect one. So when I was just talking about like wanting to have another, like, I wanted to have a book from Slytherin side, and we're going back to a private academy, so hoping that I get a few hints of that kind of stuff in here. So Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont. It was founded by Albert and Ellingham, an early 20th century tycoon who wanted to make a wonderful place full of riddles, twisting pathways, and gardens. A place, he said, where learning is a game. You already got me. In 1936, shortly after the school opened, Ellingham's wife and daughter, Iris and Alice, were kidnapped. The only real clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. It became one of the great crimes of American history. Something like that could never happen again, of course. Years later, true crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at Ellingham Academy, and she has an ambitious plan. She will solve this cold case. That is, she will solve the case when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates. the inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. But something strange is happening. Truly Devious makes a surprise return, and death revisits Ellingham Academy. The past has crawled out of its grave. Someone has gotten away with murder. Truly Devious is the first novel in a murder mystery trilogy. Yeah. Tell me one reason why I wouldn't want to get to it. I have none. And there's gifts waiting for me. So I need to get to this one this month because there's more of this like subscription box on its way and I need to get done. Alright, so this is my complete TBR for the month of May and it is completely crazy because I'm never going to be able to read it all. It is a total of 5,977 pages and if you remember from the start of the video, I can do 2,500. Like that's what I can usually do. Last month I read 4,022, so I pushed my limit already quite a bit. I am hoping to end up not having read 2 books out of that list at the end of May. And now it's your turn. Tell me which 2 books should I leave for last? Like which 2 books should I risk not finishing in May? I really want your recommendations. Alright, this is it for today for the TBR. It is already way too long. I bet nobody's gonna watch the whole thing. But I'm done. I'm gonna do this unedited. I love it and I really hope to see you again soon on my channel. If you liked it and actually are still with me, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't done so before, head on over. I'm gonna put probably here my link to my giveaway. I give away awesome stuff like books that I get in book boxes that I don't need because I have like it's like a double copy or all the amazing items that I get in book boxes that I'm not gonna be using. So yeah, you shouldn't miss that. Just saying. Until then, I do hope to see you back on my channel real soon. Until then, bye!